And we're back with the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly EU Cup. This is going to be G2 versus Gringos.
It's a great name. It's a great name for a team.
You know, a name is a name. But so there was a little bit of confusion. We have already done the map draft, and the map is going to be King's Row.
Yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary. Kings Row is a great proving ground for a lot of teams. We're going to test where we are against this team. We've scrimmed this particular map a lot. We know how good they are on this map, so should be interesting to see. Right now we've got Gringos are gaming ranked 16 overall, and G2 is ranked 7 on our rankings at GosuGamers.net. So I guess I'm going to favor G2 based on what we just saw and based on not knowing a ton about Gringos, except that, yeah, that's a really cool name.
Well, right now, after seeing what G2 did in the first round, I mean, it would be difficult to favor anyone but them going forward. Because I feel not only were they dominant there, but just in general, their coordination on on the offense looked very much above most of what we've seen thus far in Beta 2 Overwatch competition.
Yeah, they're forcing people to deal with the current meta that is Zenyatta and Genji. And, you know, I've said my tactics for how you can deal with it. In theory, that's how you deal with it. In practice, it's also really hard to get to the back line against a coordinated six-man team and actually deal with the Zenyatta. So we're going to have to see if someone can find an answer to that meta problem right now.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you looked at overall what they were doing there, they weren't entirely reliant on that either. I mean, they had other things they could throw at people. That was just sort of, especially on the King of the Hill, their flavor of choice. They don't need to bring that out, though. They can sort of clutch more on the other offensive classes, you know, run a Reaper instead of the Genji, and do just fine as well. So really, you have to be prepared for all the different looks that G2 can throw at you.
Yeah, their roster just looks kind of stacked right now. I mean, with the addition of Pluppy, who, again, was probably the best player in the tournament last week, dominated matches, throw him on a team like G2 with established TF2 veterans and team cohesion, and they just tell him, just kind of let him loose and let him go frag. We saw the results in Game 1.
Yeah, no, it was very, very dominant. Very, very impressive. It looks like we are going to be getting into Game 1 of G2 versus Gringos very, very shortly. We're running fast today, Hex. I feel like we're on a breakneck speed relative to before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we skipped the map draft lobby, so that speeds things up a little bit. There's been some community feedback regarding the map drafts and things like that. Trust me, we're listening to it all. We're taking into consideration a lot of the options to modify map drafts, modify breaks, this and that. We're trying to streamline production as much as possible, but we do need breaks sometimes. This game can be very, very draining. I know after casting for 7 or 8 hours that I want nothing more than just lie down for a little bit. So the breaks, the map drafts, all of those things are being retooled. We're taking your comments into consideration. Feel free to tweet at us at GosuOverwatch as well, or personally, ZP or myself, and we'll try to modify the cast to make everyone happy. But right now, we're just back on the King's Row.
You know what? One thing that's really, really cool, just in general, I feel like, is that right now, unlike other Blizzard games, you actually keep your progress from EU to NA. Like, you see people that are playing in both cups, and they have the same player progression and everything else. So I think you keep progression, skins, everything else. I don't know if that's a beta-only thing, but if not, I think that's pretty awesome, especially with the sort of increase in cross-continental play that Overwatch might be bringing us.
Yeah, that is awesome because I hop from server to server. And again, we've mentioned this time after time that the netcode in this game is phenomenal. I feel almost no ill effects when I'm playing on European servers, just how the game is written. So it's really cool to be able to just kind of jump servers when one's hopping and the other isn't, or just to do tournaments like this. We see teams from different regions playing in different regional tournaments.
So we're getting started here, and take a look at G2 offense. We have Mikey on Soldier, Numlocked on Reinhardt, Pluppy on the McCree, Forsaken on Lucio, Shadowburn on Genji, and he is orbed by G2 Nox. And let's take a look at what Shadowburn is able to do in the very beginning of this game, Hex.
Yeah, pretty standard defense here. We're going to run double supports, double tanks, and a Reaper on King's Row defense is always a strong candidate to do some work. Shadowburn is in. He's double orb, discorded, and harmonied.
Yep. And one thing I want to note, by the way, they did improve the Observer UI. It's a more consistent clean feed that's always red is always red, blue is always blue, and they fixed King of the Hill. So I thought it was still broken in the last map series, but it wasn't.
Numlock goes in really strong with a charge, takes down 2, but is answered by 2 kills from Gringos.
Yeah, taking a look here. Gringo's actually holding on a little bit better than thought, but look at Mikey here. Mikey on the cleanup, takes out the Zenyatta, takes out the Zarya, and he is uncontested right now. Look at the headshot tracking onto the Reinhardt. Mikey gonna pick up the triple kill, and Mikey showing why Soldier 76 is definitely a threat in this current meta right now.
Yeah, 76 has seen a definite rise in the meta over the last few weeks. It's that consistent damage. He, of course, did get a buff where his accuracy at long range is a little better, and gave up some damage fall off for that, but just the safety at which he's able to do consistent damage has been picking teams apart.
Yeah, no, that was very impressive, Mikey. And even though it wasn't as smooth as G2 would have probably hoped to get for the first point, they're able to take it very quickly. They're spraying the payload, they're going for the style, and they are rolling towards their next destination.
Yeah, we'll see if Gringos can mount a defense here now. They're all posting up on this little left perch, which is an interesting tactic because we've seen teams get flanked out from there, so they're really preventing the flank, but at the same time, it's not really stopping the cart from moving at all.
No, and they're very content to stay on the cart and just sort of, you know, hang out on it and everything else. And you see Gringos trying to hold a little bit further back. Not the most unconventional place to hold because it does allow them to flank from the back, should they wish here. But Mikey again take out Reaper very quickly. And now G2 on a 6v5 if they want to push forward here.
Yeah, we're in the ultimate phase of the game. We see two ultimates come down immediately and just in a giant fracas on the cart. Everyone's hitting Q. We're going to see what the end results are. The end results are Pluppy taking 2 down with High Noon, and this cart should be able to move to the next checkpoint.
What Pluppy did there that was very beautiful, and we've seen it plenty of times before, is that you throw the flashbang over the Reinhardt, it explodes over his head, and as a result, Reinhardt goes down, even though he has a shield up. Ladano, though, able to pick up some quick kills as McCree's, so a little bit of life in Gringos here, though the payload still making very consistent progress for G2.
Yeah, Shadow Form's, Shadow Burn still in the back line, actually. He's got his ultimate up and ready. He's probably going to try to look for a flank and really cause chaos in this back line.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of defensive ultimates up too, so we might see a bit of a stalemate here for a while.
I think a Graviton Surge is going to come out from Prol any second now. Graviton Surge, of course, very game-changing, can be very effective for teams. We do see an Earth Shatter come down, not very effective. Just sort of gets nullified, and here comes Shadowburn in the back with the Dragon Blade, with the Orb. Is he going to be able to take people off? Mint taking out 2 people with Death Blossom. So again, Gringos with a little bit of life here. Reaper and Ladano just doing a lot of work in the backfield and sort of stalled out the G2 push.
Yeah, really nice work from their fraggers there. The Reaper ultimate came down. I thought we were going to see that comboed with the hypothetical Zarya ult, but Zarya's still holding on to her ultimates. And anytime you can win a fight like that without having to use your ultimates, it's great.
Yeah, taking a look at Reinhardt. Reinhardt able to charge in. Does pick up the other Reinhardt. That was great. A nice Earth Shatter comes down. And G2 taking out 3 members of the Gringos team. And now the path is open for them, Hex.
Long distance charge. Zarya did die there, but she does still have Graviton Surge up. A lot of ultimates up for the defensive team. They can hold here.
Yeah, they need the Graviton Surge is going to be coming out any second. There's the Graviton Surge. They're going to be trying to make the most of it. Mikey, though, able to take a Reaper before he goes in. That could be a very big pick. And this is not necessarily going to go well for Gringos.
Yeah, not a ton of follow-up there on the Graviton Surge, although they did put down the defensive Transcendence, try to hold on a little longer. Everything gets cleaned up, and that is a pretty quick round on King's Row for G2.
Yeah, G2 was able to... I mean, really, they only got startled at 2 points a little bit early on and a little bit in the middle, but that was a very quick time. I think that was about 3:52 of a time, and oh man, Shadowburn, play the game by Shadowburn. I think we should get used to seeing this today, Hex.
At least he's got a nice skin in an intro, so it's you know, pleasing to the eye. Oh.
Absolutely disgusting play coming out from Shadowburn. That was amazing, and I called it. 3:52 is going to be the time for the next round, and that's going to be very tough for Gringos to beat, Hex.
Yeah, you're getting pretty good at that. So we see the cards for G2. We've got Nox up, Mike up, and Pluppy up. I'm not sure if it's Mikey or Mike Ya. We'll go Mikey. We've been calling him that anyway. But just the long-range damage from McCree and Soldier 76 doing so much work. And then the Zenyatta. Nox has just been mostly unharassed in all the games we've seen him in so far.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Nox has been staying pretty because the offense has been so in the face of the teams that G2 has been up against that really, I don't think the opposition has had time to sort of get in on Zenyatta because they've just been so pushed back.
No, it's been an avalanche of aggression, and it's working out really well for them. They're getting picks, and they're just snowballing and snowballing. We saw that Gringos was in a pretty decent position a couple times. They had ultimates up. They had the ultimate setup. I think what really hurt them there was Zarya holding her ultimate a little too long, and it's a delicate balance of when to use your ults and when to not. But I thought a Graviton Surge maybe around the corner when they had an opportunity to fight there before the Reaper Death Blossom when they had the damage follow-up, rather than a desperation ult on the card at the last second, would have been better a better utilization of that ultimate.
Yeah, because then Graviton Surge, even though it groups up your entire team, it's not a stun. You can still throw out damage there, and they had the Reinhardt shield up, and they were able to just sort of shoot out of the Graviton Surge, buddy system or not, and really stop the follow-up coming out of Gringos.
Yeah, with how good that Mint Death Blossom was, it would have been even better had it been combined with the Zarya ultimate coming off before it. The Death Blossom went off and got a couple kills, but a Death Blossom into a Graviton Surge can get 5 kills. 6 kills. So maybe a little more coordination on their ultimates. That fight goes differently for them. However, G2 puts a hugely impressive time up, but we might have to see a double Lucio, double Winston composition here just to try to beat that time, which is a staggering time.
Yeah, and taking a look at the defense coming out from G2, they will not be running Genji on defense this time. They will be running the Zenyatta with Nox. Nox probably going to be pocketing Shadowburn now on the Pharah rather than Genji. Mikey's going to be on McCree, who is a little bit more defensive than 76. Pluppy on the Reaper, no surprise there. Numlocked on Reinhardt, and Forsaken on Lucia.
Yeah, now offensively, it looks like Mint's going to stay on Reaper. Ladano is going to switch it up and go on Genji. They're going to pair that Genji, of course, with the Zenyatta run by Johanneberg. And then we are going to see double Winston in Prol and Denji, and Sinhart is going to run the Lucio.
Yeah, so taking a look at things right now. In comes Gringos very, very quickly here. They know they don't have that much time to lose, but look at the defense. Pluppy and Nox able to take out 2 people very quickly. That is 4 people down already for Gringos. And they're going to go back to the start point in very short order.
Yeah, let's try that again. It's a strategy we've seen on this map several times before, where you run double Winstons, you get in there very aggressively. Now you have to have the follow-up of your team. Your team has to be there and has to be supporting that, because what we saw is that Winstons stay on the point, everyone else dies, and then it's just clean pickings finishing the Winstons.
And mathematically, they don't really have that much time to spare here. I mean, they get wiped 1 or 2 more times, and it's pretty much over. So Gringos needs to wipe out G2 right here and right now, but that is not going to happen. 3 people already down for the Gringos team. Pluppy doing a lot of work on that Reaper.
Yeah.
And
That's another full wipe. I don't like the focus here at all. Both the Winstons are going in, and both of them target down Numlocked, the Reinhardt, the opposing tank on the other team. Now, if you've played MOBAs, you know you don't necessarily want to focus a tank. Sometimes it's your only option, but I think they have better targets to try to be more aggressive with those Winstons. But right now, I don't think their target choice is correct. They do switch off onto a Tracer, though.
yeah, they have a Tracer, and they have a Reaper going around the flank here. I don't know if this is as coordinated as Gringos wants to be, and no, Nox and Pluppy are going to pick up 2 very quick kills. Shadowburn will go down, so there's still a little bit of life for Gringos here, but no, Pluppy takes out the Zenyatta in the back. Finishes off the Winston, and really, I think that's pretty much GG.
Yeah, it's pretty close to it. I don't know the exact math on it, and as we saw earlier when I was mentioning the prize pool, my math skills are pretty low as it is, but all the defensive ultimates are up, minus the Transcendence.
Reaper is caught. He might have been able to get the Pharah, but look at the nice reaction of Shadowburn, able to knock him off his perch and take him out. That was some great reactions of Shadowburn. Mint goes down. And again, this is looking like another full team wipe in favor of G2.
Yeah, G2's feeling it right now. The Reinhardt didn't have to use his ultimate. It's kind of just like, well, we're not going to lose anyway, so here's my ultimate. Now, all the other defensive ultimates are still up. I think they've already held for 2-something minutes on this first point. Looking dominant, G2. I mean, they looked okay last week. They looked good, and it was a team to watch and keep your eye on, but today's performance has been...
They have all their ults here, too. Death Blossom is going to come down by Pluppy any second now. He's Wraith for him. Look at it. He's waiting, has him set up. Here comes a Death Blossom, followed by the rockets from Pharah. So much damage going down, even with the Transcendence up. But you know what? Gringos, this is their best push yet. They have multiple people down. They have the chance, but look at the cleanup coming out from Pluppy and Shadowburn here. They're going to pick off every last remaining member.
Oh, the Winston does get in, though. They're giving it their best.
Yeah, the Winston actually, it looks like they're going to pick it up, but probably doing stuff. But look, Pluppy's still alive. But they're coming very close to getting point A, but does it really matter at this point?
No.
Because mathematically, G2's already won this.
Yeah, and Pluppy was just doing his best just to stall out, waiting for his team to get on it there. Now, their best push came with the Transcendence from Johanneberg. But there was too many defensive ultimates up. A Transcendence can eat maybe 1 or 2 good damage ultimates, but it couldn't eat the 3 or 4 that they were throwing down at him.
Mikey throwing down the ... I think they just wanted to let the time run out there for a quicker play of the game, because now they're going to have to ride the payload to the end if we wish to see the play of the game, because mathematically, the game is over. G2 has taken map 1. from Gringos.
Yeah, we'll wait to see if the teams roll out the GGs, see if any BM comes in at all. I doubt it. These teams have been pretty
probably
mannered so far.
You know what? I'll be the manor caster and say GG, so that way there's no BM going about. So the time has officially expired.
G2 looking really good so far. Now, I think everyone may be looking a little bit ahead in our brackets, wants to see G2 versus Reunited, and I think they might even have some history together.
Yeah, G2 versus Reunited, that is what it's looking like we might be running into for a finals here. Definitely excited to see how that goes, but man, I mean, even as good as Reunited looked in the last week, G2, it feels like they're taking to another level. But again, all the teams that are in Overwatch right now have been training, have been really focusing on their games. So if G2 looks this good, who knows how Reunited might look this week.
Yeah, and as teams kind of grind it out together and practice these metas, we've seen almost every team that has played a little bit get better every single week, and they just happen to maybe lose by running into a team that got a little bit better too. I liked what Mixup did. I think Mixup is going to be a huge improvement over last week when they start playing in our tournaments this weekend too. And G2 looks really strong, and there's kind of a void at that middle section in the EU power rankings, if you will, that there's a lot of decent teams, but who's going to be the top dog? And G2 making a case.
And, you know, we used to call this the victory parade float, but really, since G2 won, what is this, the losers parade float? I don't know. I don't know what to call this here.
It's the pain train.
You know, I'm not necessarily feeling that either.
No.
Well, we'll have to think about it.
No, we got time. Got time to watch it. What's it actually called? Is it just called the payload?
It is called the payload.
It's a payload of shame right now.
I think there's supposed to be lore to what they're transporting all these maps. Like Nambani, they're transporting the Doom Fist, you know, the artifact that you saw in the very first Overwatch cinematic trailer.
Yeah, the lore in this game is actually really cool, but it's so mysterious. It's kind of just like there's no comprehensive encyclopedia of Overwatch, if you will. So community content creators, I know some people are doing some stuff on lore, but I would read and watch anything about Overwatch lore.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get to play the game here for a moment. We'll be going on to map 2 of Gringos versus G2. The Winston is really just contemplative there. And actually, we have Johannesburg. This had to be in that last push where they got in.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. It's a really good transcendence. In any other situation, that wins the fight for them. But there were so many defensive ultimates staggered up already that it just can't eat them all. It's just impossible to do. Other than that, if there's only one or two that they had to try to live through, it would have been fine. It was really well positioned, really well timed, just too much to go into.
Yeah, definitely. They're saying, guys, leave the game. It's like we have to remake the lobby. We have to go back. So...
That was only map 1. Gringos gets another chance. Maybe
they do.
Kings Row's just not their map. We've seen top level teams not like Kings Row. It just happens to not be their map. The preference between what teams like as far as maps goes just varies so widely across the board.
Yeah, and really the biggest divide here is, you know, does your team like King of the Hill or not? Because some teams are very, very amenable to boring King of the Hill, and other teams absolutely hate it. I think, unless something has changed, Reunited has been one of the teams that does not want to play King of the Hill under any circumstances. They were very adamant in banning it out last week. I wonder if that has changed for this week, but if not, G2 could be at advantage in a hypothetical G2 versus Reunited finals.
Yeah, all we've got is the hypothetical right now. But we might see one of these teams that we don't know a ton about, that we don't have a lot of history with, maybe pick up a surprise map and try to throw curveballs at them. I've been saying that that could be a strategy for some of these teams that don't have the time in the game, the cohesion as a team, that we're going to win this map every time we play it and no one else is going to pick it. I would love to see teams start to try to utilize these strategies, because when you're going against these powerhouses that have 900 games on King's Row together as a team, you're going to struggle. But maybe if you take them to Anubis, where you have this perfect defense figured out, you can take some maps off them.
Yeah, no, it's very, very possible. So we're going to be getting to the next draft very quickly here. Again, teams really moving it today. Really, we haven't done too much on our end to speed things up. I think teams are just getting more comfortable with the process of competitive Overwatch, and it's allowing us to sort of speed things up for you guys.
That's great, because that's everyone's biggest complaint is like, oh, there's so many breaks. Well, I enjoy our breaks because I get to actually turn my brain off for half a second, even though it seems like my brain's almost always off. But yeah, we're moving at a pretty good clip today. Good.
Yep, and Gringos is ready. We're getting into the draft, and first ban goes to G2. Now let's see. Temple of Anubis. Always Temple of Anubis getting banned out. Very.
Yeah, if Gringos was going to try my strategy of taking a team to Anubis where they've got a perfect defense set up, it's wrecked by G2 banning Anubis immediately. Gringo's going to follow up by banning out Watchpoint Gibraltar, which we saw the reasons why teams ban out Gibraltar earlier. G2 follows up by banning out Volskaya, and Dorado follows by Gringos banning out Dorado.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, taking out Gibraltar, not a bad idea against a team with strong Genjis. I think the Genji orb stuff on Gibraltar seems to be particularly effective because there's a lot of areas where Genji can sort of hide and look to sort of bide his time and get in on the back line. So maybe taking out those sorts of maps, very, very beneficial.
Yeah, we're definitely not going back to King's Row. Gringos just banned out King's Row. All the control points are gone, so it's either Hollywood or King of the Hill, and I am happy.
I think G2 is going to take out... Oh, okay. G2 is not taking out Hollywood. Gringos is taking out Hollywood. So G2 is going to have their choice of Nepal or Lijiang Tower. I think they'll take out Lijiang, and we're going to be heading to Nepal again for a game 2 with G2.
Yeah, but it's really interesting. Gringos forced it to King of the Hill. They had the option to keep Hollywood alive, and they said, nope, let's go to King of the Hill. I don't care which King of the Hill map, and we're going back to Nepal.
Yep. And just as a quick note, for those who are just tuning in, this is the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly EU Cup and is brought to you by GosuGamers, Rocket, Matcherino, and DX Racer. This week, notable because we've added both Matcherino and DX Racer as additional sponsors. They're helping things out. They've boosted our prize pool to a total of $360, and we're very, very glad to have their support today.
Yeah, it's really cool that those guys jumped on board and moving forward with this stuff. I know we're going to try to get more involved with Matcherino. I know DX Racer is going to be committed to us for a little bit longer. And Rollcat, of course, our first sponsor, got a big shout out to them as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And I'm just stoked we get to go back to Nepal. I love this map. I really do love this map.
Yeah, Nepal is really good. I mean, it also has some really cool music going into it. I mean, it has a sort of epic, mysterious music as you go in. I don't know, just really everything aesthetically about Overwatch, from the graphics to the sound values to everything else. It's just so cool. In general.
It plays into the lore too. I mean, I love the story building that Blizzard has always done. I never played World of Warcraft, but I kind of get into the characters just by playing some Heroes of the Storm and stuff. Just the world building that they're capable of doing. Now, like why I like Nepal, I think it's cool. It's that traditional Buddhist monk thing, but they're all robots or omnics or whatever you want to call them. It's just this cool spin on world building that makes the game feel that polished that I like.
Yep. Am I still in the lobby? Because I think my game just sort of bugged out a little bit.
We didn't have a new lobby going, so we were still in the last lobby?
But no, I've invited you to the new lobby.
I'm not in that new lobby. Invite me again.
All right, sometime that I need to be reinvited says some weird things have happened here.
Well, we're in beta. That's to be expected.
I actually have a blank screen. I'm not sure what has happened, but...
I've had that before. You might have to redo client real quick.
Yeah, I'm restarting my game. But it's in beta, and really the game has been way more polished since beta 1. There's way less bugs, way less sort of crazy things that happen that are on the bad side, and the optimization has been absolutely phenomenal. So really the game has taken very, very large steps forward. I know from the competitive end, most players are very happy because they're able to keep a consistent 144 frames per second on relatively modest rigs. So for competitive FPS, while hardware does matter, it might not matter as much as other games because the game just runs so well right now.
Yeah, it's been very, very well optimized. I've been impressed with that.
Yep, so logging back in.
But if anyone from Blizzard is listening, a replay system still at the top of my list. I know a bunch of content creators and people who just want to review their own games. Replay system, we know you can do a Blizzard. You have it for other games. Replays, please. It's my one begging attempt for today.
Indeed. So trying to log back in. Things are taking a little bit. And we are logged back in. We're going to be bringing you map number 2 on Nepal very, very shortly. For those who are just tuning in, G2 took map number 1 in a very, very dominant fashion on King's Row. They just looked incredibly strong. They also looked very strong in the round of 16. So right now they're sort of establishing themselves as one of the favorites to win today.
Yeah, kind of a different EU tournament for us. We've run a bunch of these. That's why they're called weeklies. Of course, we'll be here next week, again, doing it all in EU. But not some of the bigger EU teams aren't in it this week. Eccentric, of course, we've detailed that they're in a reformation period, if that, and Melty not with us today either. So there's a chance for one of these teams that EU, the top end of the EU feels wide open to me right now, with Reunited, with Eccentric reforming, with Melty having their ups and downs. Their downs, of course, being going to the semifinals and the finals last week, but not winning either, which is not up to Melty standards. So a bit of a power vacuum at the top here, and G2 could come out as being the EU team based on their play today.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder what happened to IDD QD. I mean, maybe it just work things or, really, who knows? Teams in the early stages do have cases where they just can't make an event for one reason or another. A little bit disappointing because IDD QD did look very, very strong in the last weekly, but man, G2 with the addition of Pluppy has just looked phenomenal today.
Yeah, Pluppy was the best player on Eccentric last week. He was the best player almost in the tournament. Single-handedly locked down maps to 76 defensively, played really well. Then you put him on an already very strong mechanical roster with good cohesion, and he's just been running wild as well. And you pair him with Shadowburn, it's just so much consistent damage.
Yep. So I think we're about ready here. We do have you in the lobby, Hex. I'm not sure if we're getting the other casters in or not, but... yeah, we're going to be getting ready to go here. It's going to be Nepal for map number 2. And I got to think we're going to see more of the Genji Zenyatta shenanigans coming out for G2. I mean, if it wasn't broken in the first round, why wouldn't they do it here for the second round?
I mean, you keep running a strategy until the team proves that they can stop you, right? So until someone proves that they can get to that back line, kill the Zenyatta, or do something else to deal with this Genji, you keep running it.
Yep.
All right, I'm finally in. I think the other casters are watching a different game, so we might be good to go.
Okay. Yep, so we are ready to go. And we are going into map number 2, Nepal. This is G2 versus Gringos.
Yeah, so there's stuff in chat that say it's not Mikey, it's Mike, yeah.
Mike, yeah, okay.
It's really, really hard to figure out, so I think it's Mikey. It's cute, colloquial.
So again, this is G2 versus Gringos. This is going to be on Nepal. There is no timer, and Blizzard thankfully doing us a huge favor in sort of evening things out. The Spectator mode a lot more consistent now for King of the Hill. And that was fast. I mean, it got hotfixed in. I didn't realize it was changed until our first game today.
No, I didn't notice that. They must have done it with the patch that came yesterday. So really cool that they're responding so quickly to some of the smaller bug fixes that need to be done.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we look at is like, wait a second, the kill feed is being super consistent. This is awesome.
Yeah, the kill feed was actually different colors. It was fun to see. It looks like on sorry, Gringo's side here real quick. We're going to run a McCree, Zenyatta, a Tracer finally in the mix. Mint is going to be on Reaper, Prol is going to be Winston, and Lucio, of course, for this map mode.
I was going to say from the G2 side, were we going to see a Bastion? But no, that was probably just messing with us. But they are going to be running the same Zenyatta Genji shenanigans. And let's take a look at Shadowburn. Is Shadowburn going to be able to do it again? There's no reason to believe that he's not, because man, did he look strong in the last time we saw him in Nepal just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I want to keep some eyes on Tracer here to see if she is able to get to that back line and disrupt the Zenyatta synergy going on.
And take a look at Shadowburn. He is able to deflect the McCree stuff here. Will he be able to take him out? Yes, he quickly picks Ladano for first blood of the game. Is he going to be able to get the Lucio? He's on Lucio. Lucio knocking him back with the sound gun, but it's not going to matter. The rest of the G2 team doing a lot of work, and they're just going to clean out Gringos from the point and likely get the first capture of the game.
Yeah, I want to mention something that Nox did there. Of course, he's phenomenal in just staying alive and keeping his Genji alive, but he had the patience to wait for the opposing Zenyatta to finally poke his head through the door and hit him with the Discord immediately, making him that much more vulnerable.
Yep, and we have a Tracer out now, so I wonder if Denzi, let's take a look at him. Is he going to be able to get in on the back line Zenyatta? This is one of the things that we were talking about in the last game that didn't happen. He's getting Lucio, and he does pick off Lucio very quickly. So maybe we'll see Tracer have her moment of glory here, Hex.
Yeah, super helpful. She's got her ultimate up too, which can clear a lot of space if not get kills. But Nox does take down the Winston by himself. Pluppy clean up too. But another big pick from Denzi, I'm just going to call him, on Winston.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Gringos is going to need to do if they want to get through here. Unfortunately, we see G2 starting to turn the tide in their favor, and Shadowburn going to pick up another 2 kills, and they're going to secure the point. But yeah, I think there's potential for the Tracer here. He wasn't able to quite get on the Zenyatta, but even still, he picked off 2 kills, and let's just see what he does on this next play as Gringos regroups.
Yeah, Gringo's Mint Reaper is hiding up top. He's been up there pretty much the whole time.
Yep, all right, so watch the Tracer. We do have a tactical visor coming down now from Mikey. Numlocked and Pluppy taking out 2 people in very short order, so this is not at all what they want here. Even the Tracer, even if she's able to get the picks now, it's not going to matter because 4 people are down for Gringos. G2 very much shutting down that push that just came out.
Yeah, Transcendence came out a little bit too late, a little lagging behind the other ultimates, not quite the synergy you want with it, so that Transcendence wears off, and that Zenyatta's dead. Now all the ultimates have been used for the Gringos here, except for McCree's, so it's going to be really tough to try to take this point back with the limited time and limited resources they have.
And taking a look at this now, we do have a case in where G2 looking very strong here, and Pluppy coming down with the Death Blossom is going to get 2 picks immediately. Pluppy was just very set up for that, and now he's going to go get the triple kill on the McCree, and that is going to wrap things up. Stage 1 going to G2, again in a very dominant fashion.
You can kind of tell when G2 feels they have the game wrapped up just when Numlocked starts throwing out funsy ultimates that don't need to be used. We saw it last game, he just popped on a Reinhardt ultimate just for the fun of it. That time he just went Winston Primal Rage. When they feel they have it in the bag, Numlocked just hits his cue for funsies.
And again, that just worked out really, really well for them. And yeah, taking a look here, Gringos is going to have to change up something here. I mean, maybe the Tracer is the key, but really, they weren't coordinated enough because what you saw there is that as they were going in, the Tracer was still rotating towards the back. And even if the Tracer did get on the target she needed to get on, her team was going to be dead, so it wouldn't have really mattered anyways. Tracer really needs to get to her target much, much quicker if they want this to work out for them.
It's the story we've seen in Overwatch time and time again with some of these newer-ish teams, is that the coordination is a second off, a half second off, and it's enough to lose you the game.
Yep, so taking a look at Tracer here. Tracer is going to try and get to the back, doing a little bit of poke on the tank. That's not who she needs to get on. She needs to get further back here. Note that Lucio was able to take out Mint and very quick. Lucio with the double kill to start out the game, and Nox punching, or rather kicking Tracer in the face. And this is going to look like another first cap from G2, and wow, Pluppy.
Yeah, both flanks and Zenyatta went down in very short order for Gringos, and that spells the end of any sort of notion of pushing.
Well, he did die in the end, but again, not really the biggest deal. They have secured the front point, and now Gringos again find themselves in the back foot. They need to get control of the middle point, but G2 is not making it easy on them.
No, extremely difficult, and even now, I'm out of even theory answers to how to deal with G2 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very interested in the Tracer and seeing where that's going to happen, because if there's any hope for Gringos, it's going to come off the Tracer. But look at the sound barrier coming down now for G2. G2's going to use this to push in. Shadowburn, again, unchecked in the back, is going to take out the Lucio and the McCree in a double kill. Will he get the third? He reflects Reaper to death. A triple kill coming up for Shadowburn. So again, some very beautiful stuff coming out there, and yeah, this is, again, just not the most optimal look for Gringos and G2.
The Tracer is somewhat effective, but the Tracer is trading, and you don't really want that. Tracer needs to get picks and stay alive to continue to, if not get more picks, at least present the threat of being in the backline.
Yep. And here comes Dragon Blade coming out. He's getting into backline, but no, Ladano able to take him out. Shadowburn not having his way this time, and this might be the push that Gringos needs to sort of get things more in their favor, but just as I say that, Pluppy with the triple kill, able to pick up the slack, and some nice play coming up from Pluppy, the hold for G2 there.
Yeah, Nox again showcasing his Zenyatta, really nice Transcendence, an ultimate that we've seen a rise of recently because it's got 0 cast time unlike Lucio, so when you're in trouble, you pop that Transcendence, everyone gets healing, you're invulnerable, it really turns fights.
Yeah, I mean, we probably have given enough Nox as much love as we should have at times, and Mikey right now taking up Ladano, so that's going to really cripple the Gringos pushes that come in here, but really, at this point, they got to get on point, period, because in 14% more, G2 is going to take this and move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, they're trying to come through their left side and through the doors, but they get flanked from behind, and that room is just turning into carnage.
Oh, wow. Winston, the ragdoll there, sending him off into the mountain Nepal as G2, again, wiping out the remainder of the Gringos team, and they are going to take it in dominant fashion. 2-0 over Gringos. And G2 right now, I'm not going to say they look unstoppable, but man, they look very, very close to that.
They look one of the best teams in EU right now, and I kind of just want to enjoy this Pluppy play, really. Yep, this is when they got caught out in between a rock and a hard place.
Yep, and just look at Pluppy. He's in where he needs to be, gets the melee, gets the direct shotgun blast, and just great stuff coming out from Pluppy. 5 medals earned, 3 of them gold. That was a cool new card that they added in.
The concept was really good from Gringos. They were going through that left side because that's where Nox had been posting up most of the time. He'd been alone over near the cliffs, and they were going to try to use the cliffs to their advantage positionally while they tried to flank into the right. Unfortunately, it was sniffed out by G2, who sent their 2 damage classes behind them while they stalled out in front, and that was just being caught between a hammer and an anvil right there.